Hey, what's up, guys? This is Dom from No Case None. I'm here with BloodJuice at Forever Goat Studios.
I guess first things first, how'd you get into the whole music scene in general?
I've always been a fan of hip-hop, not so much Australian hip-hop until probably the last 2 to 3 years. But, growing up, I was just really into anything. Like, I would sit there for hours watching interviews of J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, Eminem. I just loved it. I was just always a fan, always interested in the artists and, their personalities and kind of what went on behind the scenes and stuff.
Did you ever want to make music, or was it always like interviews?
Oh, everyone messes around.
Yeah.
Like growing up, I had a cool microphone set up and everything that my parents bought me when I think I turned like 15, and me and my friends were just like fucking around on that. Never made anything that was actually worth putting out. The majority of it was just basically like fuel for embarrassment, but is what it is.
So what made you realize that I'm not meant to be an artist, I'm meant to do interviews? Switch lanes.
Well, growing up, I always made videos, so like it got to the point where everyone when I was younger used to say that I was either going to be a movie director, or be a porn star, or any of these sorts of things. And so I've always made videos, and I used to make like vlogs and stuff. All those are private now because they're just like embarrassing as fuck, but I used to make all kinds of videos like that. And then I was always really interested in hip hop, and around the time the SoundCloud era of rap started to blow up, I got onto No Jumper at Adam 22, and I feel like he's really inspired me a lot and kind of sculpted who I am as a person today even. It's been that extreme for me at least. So I saw that, and I could see like how Australian music and the culture was kind of getting pushed forward, and I was like, fuck, okay, I can see similarities between that and what happened in the SoundCloud era with Adam 22, how he kind of got in early and he gave that thriving culture kind of a platform to speak and stuff. And I just thought, I want to get in there and I want to give it a go myself as well, because I've always loved making videos. I've always loved hip hop. I'm actually really, really passionate about it. And I just thought, fuck it, let's just start.
Yeah.
And I started with a mate, and we just started making videos which like were very subpar. And like even now I know that I've still got like a ways to go before I'm where I want to be with what I'm making. And I just need to work on my work ethic as well. But
what was the whole I guess the lifestyle in Newcastle, like growing up and shit?
Growing up, I was kind of like, I was the sad boy that sat off to the side and I just listened to Eminem all day with my headphones in and no one liked me. That was me growing up. And I feel like the no one liking me thing was actually just a thing in my head. I don't know whether that was actually the case, but I kind of drew attention to myself when I shouldn't have, and kind of made myself a target for people, if that makes sense. So I didn't really have a lot of friends. I like to keep my circle close and just keep people around that I really trusted. So growing up, it was just me and then maybe 2 mates, and I might have other ones exterior to that, but I kept my circle, as I said, really, really close. And pretty much I just spent lots of time inside. I know once I started to get older, I kind of fell into the wrong crowd and I started doing a lot of drugs and just kind of being a fuckwit in general. Just getting up to shit that I just shouldn't have been doing, really. And then that was, I don't know, like, I feel like in Newcastle people have a different experience because there's just different kinds of people, and they're split like really clean cut between each other. Whereas in Sydney, it's like you've got all these different diverse cultures and they all intertwine and stuff. Whereas in Newcastle, it's like there's just like 3 sets of people, and there aren't like heaps diverse people when it comes to race and like sexuality and all this stuff like that. It's just kind of like everyone's the same. But the 3 would be like the surfy people and that, and then there would be like your lads and shit, and then there'd be like kind of the smarter people who would be going to university and stuff, because there's 2 universities in Newcastle, so a lot of students come there. Right. And they're major universities, they're big ones. So and Newcastle isn't that big, so for them to have 2 universities, it's pretty fucking hectic. So a lot of Newcastle is actually just like Asian exchange students and other people like that. So yeah
Fucking hell. So if you were to change any of that, would you be in Sydney because it's like popping so much more otherwise?
Yeah, well, I'm planning on moving to Sydney this year actually, so I've got family that lives in Sydney, and I'm hoping I can. Well, I've already talked to them about it, but I'm going to live with them basically for that initial like tethering period where I'm just kind of figuring out what I'm doing, and then hopefully I can just get work either through the company that I'm already working for, which is One Steel. So I just make like fence posts. It's nothing amazing, but it's a hustle. And move to Sydney and work, do that, and then also, you know, just like how it's been advantageous for you for being in, you know, Sydney around all the artists when they're up and coming and stuff. I want to do that as well and be where, you know, hip hop's basically like exploding from.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
How did you pick up on things you said earlier? Like, you know, you said you're fucked with and shit.
Yeah, I've always been realistic with myself. Like, if I think I could be doing better with something, I'm gonna be honest about it. What do you mean? Can you elaborate?
Like you said, you were a bit of a fuck when you took drugs and shit, right? So, and there's a lot of people who have been in the same situation, but they wouldn't admit that they had fucked up. So was there like a turning point for you that made you realize, like, I've got to shift something? You know?
Yeah, 100%, and that would have happened. So there was like, so I first realized that I needed to change something when I was 14. That was like when, and that's really stupid, but I had some shit happen that wasn't good, and that happened so I had family members pass away basically, and I had two major people that really, really mattered to me, that were like really close to me and an integral role in raising me. They passed away when I was 14 and 16, and you know, a 14-year-old doesn't have any friends that tell him, that can talk to him about that or understand how that feels, and I didn't have any like peers or male role models really, because like my dad was sorting his own shit out. So my parents are still together, but just they were sorting their own shit out, dealing with the loss of those people, so I didn't have a support network. So it was basically on me, and I just started to think, you know, about I started to ask these huge questions like, fuck, what does life mean? Why are we here? Whatever. And then that took me down the path of like self-reflection, and then I started looking at myself a lot, and then I was like, oh, I could be doing better here. Why has this happened with this person? Why does that person hate me? Why these groups of people waiting outside a shopping centre to beat the fuck out of me when I'm 15 years old for no reason? Do you know what I mean? Like, those are the sorts of questions that I was asking myself. And basically, like, the things that I was involved with and the things that were just happening around me just forced me to be real with myself and really look at myself and kind of figure out how I can improve my situation myself, because I didn't have anyone to do that for me. I just had to better my situation myself and just do what I could to make sure that I was the best person I could be, so at least I knew that whatever I did was right. Yeah. If that makes sense. Like, I just needed to work on my own shit. So I did that, and I was really like, I always look at myself and I always beat myself up. Like, I'm always on myself, like going, fuck, you could have done this better. That wasn't good enough. Like, so I suffered from major anxiety and depression because of those things, like being too hard on myself, and then also like the other things that happened in my life. But I mean, people clown on me for it, but I've got anxious tattooed on my neck because it was like such a huge thing for me, man. Like, I'd walk into a shopping centre and my legs would turn to jelly and I couldn't speak to anyone, and like I just had to hide away. And I had a girlfriend when I was 17 to 20, so 3 years. And the first year of us being together, she was the same. She was in the same headspace. And we just hid in a shed for like a year. We just stayed in a shed just away from everyone and just only smoked weed and played fucking Minecraft and shit. So and I needed that. I needed to like get away and just factory reset after everything. But
do you think being with another, like someone else with the same mindset, as good as it can be, do you think it also just multiplied the situation? It
helped initially, but then it got to the point where it's like the amount of help that she could give me plateaued, and then it was like I needed to be alone and I needed to work on myself. And she became kind of a drag on my life. She kind of was holding me back from a lot of things. She wasn't a very motivated person. She didn't want to get out and work and do things, so here I was chasing jobs and like studying and putting myself through TAFE and trying to like do as much as I could, and she just wasn't about it. She came from a background where they weren't really hard workers, I guess, so she just wasn't up for it. And so there was kind of resentment because we moved out together and I felt like I was carrying her, like I was paying for everything, and like I don't know, there was just resentment on both sides. It just wasn't working, so that ended. And then And then basically the last year, I've just improved drastically by myself. Just, really working on myself, trying to be the best person I can. This channel's helped with that because, like, I can take criticism way better now.
Yeah.
Because you get that many hate comments. I'm sure you would have seen cunts, like,
all the time. I
just
get it every
rip
day,
out.
bro.
Yeah, it's just fucked.
Yeah.
That's one thing I want to talk about. I had a guy make, like, an 8-minute hate video about me. Yeah.
Saying what?
Well, see, I'm just going to give you all the clickbait shit now. So what happened was so I want to, like, explain this in full, though. So you would have seen, like, I've done the news videos and stuff. So I did one about Spanion and Chilling It. Like, that was kind of a one-sided beef. Spanion just thought Chilling It was doing something that he wasn't. And then I talked about the Rops and Wombat beef as well, and just kind of in detail explain those things. So, but yeah, like, so what happened was I put out that initial one with Spanion and Chilling It, and this guy saw that and he left a comment, and he makes videos similar to what we make, but he's a little bit older, so he's kind of more of an old head, so he's got I'd say he has a different perspective to what you and I might have on things. Anyway, he watched that video and he left a comment saying, you're trying to create a divide in the scene, and you're just doing this for self-promotion and all this shit. Mind you, the reason why I was making these news videos in the first place was because I was doing interviews with people and they were only getting like 20 views, and I was like, fuck, this isn't good enough. I need more followers, I need more subscribers, so I can actually put people on when I interview them. So I made these news videos because I knew they would get views and I would get attention. And I knew that I was going to get backlash too, but in my mind, I thought it would be worth it anyway to deal with the backlash, to get more followers, so then when I interview people, it's actually worth their time.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to interview someone and then just get them 20 views and then they're just like, well, fuck, I just wasted 4 hours of my life transport. Because I'm in Newcastle, so for people to come to me, it takes them an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes. Like, I don't want to waste their time. So I made the news videos anyway, and that was my intention making them. But a lot of other people just thought that I was trying to, like, milk it for what it was worth, and I was just trying to, like, highlight all the negative things and taking advantage of it. Mind you, though, these guys putting this stuff out there, like, they're doing it for attention. They wouldn't put these things out on live stream on their social media if they didn't want people to see them and have an opinion on it. So for me to make a video about it, it's not me bullying these people or trying to, like, get something out of it. It's just I'm fucking compiling information that the fans want to see, and obviously they want to see them because both those videos have around 40,000 views now, and my channel only has 2,000 subscribers. So for me to get 40,000 views on both those videos, obviously that's what people want to see. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, but he saw that first video about Chilling and Spanion, and then he left a comment which actually pissed me off, and I just commented back, "Fuck off, dickhead." Now, usually that wouldn't be how I, like, handle my problems and stuff, but at the time I was saying "fuck off, dickhead" to all my friends, and we had this, like, running joke, and I don't want to explain it, but we were saying that continuously, and when he said that, I just thought, fuck you, like, you don't actually know what you're talking about, your perspective's, like, off, you don't actually understand, man. And he hadn't watched enough of my content to know where I was coming from. He just kind of, like, saw the first 3 minutes of that video and then commented something. Anyway, I said "fuck off, dickhead." He saw that comment and then made an 8-minute hate video about me, like, within 2 hours afterwards. And yeah, I watched that anyway, and I was just cracking up the whole time because he was just so offended that I called him a dickhead. And I didn't even respond to it. I messaged him and I tried to squash it because I don't want to have bad blood with someone. I don't want to go to a show and then him rock up there and then be like, "Oh, what's good, cunt?"
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, fuck, man. I'm there to have fun. Probably there to film content. The last thing I need is to punch on with this cunt. So I tried to squash it, messaged him, just said, "What's going on, bro? Like, what's your problem?" And he said, "Oh, now you want to try and squash it. Who you calling dickhead?" And I just said, "Oh, well, you offended me. What, I'm not allowed to throw it back? Like, fair's fair." And I tried to explain myself to him, and I said, "Look, the news segments are purely just so I can get a few more followers, so when I interview people, I actually help them." Like, I even said that to him in the messages. And then he just wasn't having a bar of it anyway, and I just basically said, "Look, man, like, you're in the wrong. You don't actually know. I've tried to reason with you. You're in the wrong. You don't actually know where I'm coming from. And I'm going to prove you wrong, basically."
Yeah.
And I've been doing heaps of interviews, man, and they've been doing good.
Where would you want to take it for the future?
Well, I mean, like, not just for me, but just for like all the media guys, like you included. I think it's really cool what the American guys are doing, where you see like DJ Vlad and Adam 22, like they're interviewing each other. Like as soon as I hit you up about this interview, I was like envisioning something like that. Obviously, we aren't on that level, but I think I want to see all the media guys have more to do with each other and be able to actually like help each other out and feed each other's growth, because like you look in the scene and it's like all the rappers are working together, and then us media guys are like off on the outside, and I feel like we're kind of the butt of the joke. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like we aren't really taken seriously. Like I feel like people think that we're just leeches. Do you know what I mean? That's how I feel, at least. And like fair enough, they can think that or whatever, but I feel like it would be really good if if us media guys could kind of like not form a brand together, but I just mean like kind of associate with each other and work with each other more and kind of like motivate each other to keep going. Because you see all the artists, they have their crews and shit, but our media guys are so strewn out. Like I feel like it's really hard to actually find the content that we make in multiple places. So it'd be really cool if we all just kind of like helped each other out. But for the channel, I want to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year. That's my goal. I think in the last 7 months, hitting 2,250 subscribers is like a massive goal was a massive milestone for me, considering I haven't really put out that much content, and I've had like lots of other things happen in my life in the background, and my social media isn't up there, and numbers aren't anything either, but they kind of like they show me where I'm at, you know what I mean? Like it's good, like having the numbers there. It's it's like running a race, let's say, and then your times keep going down. You're like, fuck, I am actually improving, like that's just it's good for me to be able to track my improvement.
I get that.
But yeah, like I want to see the channel do better. I want to interview some bigger artists. I kind of want to mend some of my relationships with the bigger artists, because I feel like at the start of the year when I first came out, I had the support from a lot of them, and then when I made the news videos, they all just cut me off because they thought I was just trying to do something sketchy. But again, like I said earlier, my intentions were actually good, but it just I didn't explain myself properly, and I don't think that I went about those things the right way, or I said the right things in those videos to really cover my ass and explain like my intentions in making those videos. So no, I want to do more interviews with people. I want to hire someone that can edit all my videos for me so I can get rid of that stress. I want to move to Sydney. So yeah, the big things: move to Sydney, get more people involved, network more, hit 10,000 subs by the end of next year, which I think is like doable, not just for me, but for you as well, and all the other guys that are doing this sort of stuff. Like I feel like 2020 is the year for Australian hip hop and Australian hip hop media. I feel like this year all of us are gonna fucking kill it.
Right.
No case none. Your host Dom, Forever Goat Studios on BloodJuice. Yeah, so go check out No Case None. Just recently I released some shirts with the Struggle clothing, and those shirts, all the profits are going directly to charity to raise funds for victims of the fires and stuff. So far, I think Jaden, the owner of the Struggle, I think he's donating $1,000 towards that. So I know we've raised a little bit of money. I'm not so sure how much yet, but the shirts are there anyway. Go check out thestruggleclothing.com, and they'll be selling all of those shirts on there. So
right,
and yeah, go subscribe, go follow, you know what to do.
Okay.
Cheers.